My skills developed a lot throughout the project, and I can say that because if I look back upon myself, I wasn't aware of the single thing about media. In few months, I learned many things that how to work on sound, editing, mise-en-scene, camera work, angles, and this makes me different from other people as a media studies student. The first task I was assigned in the preliminary task in the group. In this task, we want to show a conversion of two peoples and use the shots related to it. When I started working on my task, I was confused as I was only having basic information. The camera shots used we repeated again and again. These were over the shoulder shot, two shot and some point of view shots. For this shoot, many mistakes were made in camera work angle, such as that there was no headroom space was left. There were jump cuts in this shoot. Simple shots were taken, setting of the camera, ISO, shutter speed, etc. It was not up to the mark. In other tasks, I want to copy the scene of Hollywood movie. The mistake I made were continuous jump cuts. Camera was shaking as I didn't use tripod. I shoot my film 2 to 3 times as there were some errors, and I started learning from this mistake and improved them in the next shoot. While for my final film, I did proper research for my movie, which includes industry, genre, studio, and much more. I decided in pre-production which shots to use, so there is variety of shots and less repetition of shots and more good and difficult shots which look attract viewers. While I also use different angles and movement in my final movie, and I take extra shots of each scene so I can select the best one out of it. The sound in the first task only included diegetic sound, and it includes the background sound as well, which gives the bad impression to the audience, while in the next task same thing was done, no extra sound was used. While in my final film, I used so much sound which include diegetic and non-diegetic sound so that the audience can feel the situation and connect themselves with the actors. I used different audios from different websites, so it makes my horror movie more interesting and appealing to the audience. While I also use effects in my final film for audio so that sound is clear and sharp. Mise-en-scene. In first task, there was no proper location, nor proper setup for shop, while costumes were not up to the mark. Everything was below average. While in second task, I somehow work on the location which required room and some setup as I want to copy Hollywood scene and work on proper costumes. Some skills were improved but not all. While for my final film, as I shoot it again and again, I work on costumes and makeup and locations as I did research in my pre-production. While still there were some minor errors which looked bad, so I learned from mistakes and remembered them in next shoot and try not to repeat them again and again. And finally I was successful, and now which genre requires which setup. For my first movie, as there were many errors as it was my first try, so I used natural source light, which is sunlight. While in next task, I somehow worked on lightning to create night effect but didn't get succeed. While for my final film, I planned proper lighting system for my movie first. I started research and then applied my own skills and combined to make a lighting plan. As my movie is horror, I want to create low-key lighting. I used dim lights and torches to make it horror and tense situation, and to create effect of horror, I did one thing in my movie that I showed the power breakdown. No electricity in the movie to create tension. Editing. In my first task, I feel difficult to use Adobe Premiere. I only use basic edit, such as I made the movie in sequence, use razor tool, render it and export it. The same thing was done in other tasks when I want to copy Hollywood scene. But after passage of time, I learned how to use it and work on it. So for my final film, I used different effects such as exponential fade, dip to black, constant gain, etc. I used sounds from online websites in my final film and make my editing process more stronger, and I used different sound level in between dialogue and sound effects so they didn't get merged with each other. I learned to use titles for my movie such as the name of studio in start and my movie name title in the my film, while all the credits given in end. All these things make my editing skill polished throughout the year. Time management. For my preliminary task, I wasn't focusing on time. I shoot it when I like. I didn't choose a specific day. While for my final film, I decided proper time to call the actors to shoot the film in specific time span and proper day to shoot it. These all things show the difference between my skills
Just
throughout the
forget it.
project.
Let's
This
start.
shows how much I struggle to make my movie successful and better.